Millions of Americans book Caribbean cruises every single year, dreaming of turquoise waters, white sand beaches, and that perfect rum punch served under a palm tree. The brochures paint paradise. The cruise lines promise adventure. And for many travelers, especially retirees, finally cashing in on decades of hard work, this represents the trip of a lifetime. But here's what those glossy advertisements never mention. Not every port of call delivers on that promise. Some will drain your wallet before you even reach the beach. Others present genuine safety concerns that cruise lines conveniently forget to highlight. And a few have become so overrun with tourists that you'll spend more time waiting in lines than actually enjoying anything. I've compiled a definitive ranking of 15 major Caribbean cruise ports, from the ones that could genuinely ruin your vacation to the hidden gems that might just become the highlight of your entire trip. We're talking real numbers, documented incidents, and the kind of specific details that travel agents hope you never discover. And number one on this list? It's not the famous port everyone assumes, yet it consistently delivers something increasingly rare in Caribbean cruising: an authentic, safe, and genuinely memorable experience. Let's start with number 15. Number 15, Ocho Rios, Jamaica. The name means 8 rivers in Spanish, and cruise lines market this port as your gateway to Caribbean adventure. They'll show you images of Dunn's River Falls, that famous cascading waterfall where tourists climb 600 feet of natural limestone terraces. What they don't show you is everything else. Jamaica carries a Level 3 travel advisory from the State Department as of early 2025, meaning officials explicitly recommend reconsidering travel here. The crime statistics paint a sobering picture. Jamaica's homicide rate consistently ranks among the highest in the Western Hemisphere, hovering around 53 per 100,000 residents. For comparison, that's roughly 10 times the rate of the United States. Now, most violent crime occurs between rival gangs in areas tourists wouldn't visit. But here's the problem with Ocho Rios specifically. The tourist infrastructure channels visitors through areas where petty crime runs rampant. Walking from the cruise terminal to the main shopping district along Main Street, you'll encounter aggressive vendors, unlicensed taxi drivers, and documented cases of tourists being followed and robbed once they wandered even slightly off the main drag. Shore excursions through the cruise line will run you anywhere from $79 to $150 per person for the Dunn's River Falls experience. Those prices don't include the additional $23 entry fee to the falls themselves, gratuities, or the overpriced photos hawkers will pressure you to buy. The falls experience itself has become a crowded disappointment for many first-time visitors. During peak cruise days, you're essentially climbing in a human chain with hundreds of other tourists, guides rushing you along because there's another group waiting. The magic those brochure photos promised, it evaporates when you're shuffling up slippery rocks shoulder to shoulder with strangers. Some travelers do enjoy Jamaica despite these warnings. The culture is vibrant, the natural beauty undeniable. But for cautious travelers, especially seniors or first-time cruisers, Ocho Rios represents too much risk for too little reward. Number 14, Nassau, Bahamas. Nassau might be the most disappointing port in the entire Caribbean for one simple reason. It used to be magnificent, and now it's a cautionary tale in over-tourism. The Bahamas capital welcomes more cruise passengers than almost any other Caribbean port. On heavy days, you'll find 4 or 5 megaships docked simultaneously, dumping over 15,000 day trippers onto an island infrastructure never designed for such volume. The result? Everything feels strained. Walk off the ship at Prince George Wharf and you'll immediately understand. The gauntlet begins. Licensed vendors and unlicensed hustlers alike will approach you within seconds, offering hair braiding, jet ski rentals, taxi rides, and merchandise. The pressure selling here has become legendary among experienced cruisers. The famous straw market, once a charming place to find authentic Bahamian crafts, has devolved into row after row of mass-produced souvenirs, most manufactured in China. Vendors quote wildly inflated prices to cruise passengers. A straw bag that might sell to locals for $8 gets quoted at $45 to anyone wearing a cruise ship lanyard. Safety concerns have escalated dramatically. The State Department maintains a Level 2 advisory for the Bahamas, citing increased violent crime, including armed robbery and sexual assault. In 2023 alone, the Royal Bahamas Police Force reported over 70 homicides in a nation of fewer than 400,000 people. The highest risk areas include over-the-hill neighborhoods directly south of the tourist zone, but incidents have occurred in downtown Nassau as well. A taxi from the cruise port to Atlantis Paradise Island will cost you around $40 each way for up to 4 passengers. Once there, day passes to access Atlantis water park facilities run $185 per adult, $250 during peak season. That's a significant investment for a few hours of access. Cable Beach, the closest quality beach to the port, requires a taxi ride and sits roughly 4 miles away. Public beach access exists, but facilities are minimal. Nassau charges cruise passengers for nearly everything, and the value proposition simply doesn't hold. If your ship docks here, the most honest advice is this: consider staying aboard and enjoying the empty pool deck while everyone else fights the crowds. Number 13. Cozumel, Mexico. This one might surprise people because Cozumel appears on nearly every Caribbean cruise itinerary and millions of visitors return home satisfied. So why does it rank so low? Volume. Sheer, overwhelming volume. Cozumel receives more cruise passengers than any other Caribbean port, over 5 million annually. On peak days, 7 or 8 ships dock simultaneously. Imagine stepping off your vessel along with 20,000 other people, all heading toward the same handful of attractions. The downtown San Miguel area, roughly a 15-minute walk from most cruise piers, transforms into a human traffic jam. Jewelry stores line the main drag, their salespeople standing in doorways, calling out to passers-by. The sales tactics here are legendary. Special price just for you. My friend, come look just 1 minute. And the classic, "What ship are you from?" as an opening gambit. Prices in the cruise port zone bear no resemblance to what locals pay. A simple fish taco running 40 pesos, roughly $2.30, at a local establishment becomes $12 at the tourist version. Margaritas advertised as 2 for 1 still cost $18 total. Shopping prices start inflated and remain inflated even after aggressive negotiating. Beyond the commercial complaints, there's a safety dimension worth noting. Mexico overall carries a Level 2 travel advisory, and while Cozumel itself hasn't experienced the cartel violence plaguing mainland destinations, petty theft targeting tourists has increased. The State Department specifically notes incidents of drink spiking at bars and restaurants throughout tourist areas in the Yucatan region. The island's famous diving and snorkeling remain genuinely world-class. Palancar Reef and Columbia Reef offer stunning underwater experiences. But here's the catch. Quality dive excursions book up weeks in advance, and walk-up availability during cruise visits often means joining overcrowded boats with rushed timelines. For travelers seeking the authentic Mexican Caribbean experience, Cozumel no longer delivers. It's become a cruise ship processing facility that happens to be located in Mexico. Number 12. Montego Bay, Jamaica. If you thought Ocho Rios had problems, Jamaica's second major cruise port shares every single one, plus a few extras. Montego Bay actually serves as the island's tourism capital, with more resorts, more flights, and more infrastructure than anywhere else in Jamaica. The cruise port sits at the Montego Bay Cruise Terminal, which underwent expansion in 2019. That investment, however, hasn't addressed the fundamental issues. The State Department's Level 3 advisory applies equally here. The St. James Parish, where Montego Bay is located, has repeatedly been placed under states of emergency due to gang violence. In 2022, authorities enacted emergency powers after a surge of shootings and murders in the area. While these measures targeted specific neighborhoods away from tourist zones, the underlying instability affects the entire region. Walking independently in Montego Bay requires caution. The famous hip strip, Gloucester Avenue, features restaurants and shops, but also persistent harassment from vendors and individuals offering various services. Multiple documented incidents involve tourists being followed, surrounded by groups of young men, and pressured for money. The beach situation frustrates many cruise visitors. Doctor's Cave Beach, the most famous stretch of sand, charges admission, $6 per person, and sits roughly 2 miles from the cruise terminal. You'll need transportation, which means negotiating with taxi drivers who may or may not use meters. Licensed taxis display red license plates, but identifying legitimate operators among the crowd at the port requires experience. Ship-sponsored excursions to Rose Hall Greathouse, the famous haunted plantation, cost around $70 per person. The tour itself takes about 90 minutes, including a heavily embellished ghost story about Annie Palmer, the White Witch. It's entertaining, but entirely manufactured for tourists. The genuine appeal of Jamaica, the music, the food, the natural beauty, gets lost beneath the safety concerns and tourist traps. Some experienced travelers do enjoy Montego Bay with proper precautions, but first-time cruisers should understand exactly what they're facing. Number 11. Philipsburg, Sint Maarten. This Dutch-side capital of the divided island delivers both incredible photo opportunities and genuine frustration in roughly equal measure. The famous Maho Beach, where commercial jets pass so low overhead that you can read the tail numbers, has become one of the Caribbean's most iconic attractions. Watching a 747 descend directly above you creates an undeniably thrilling experience. What the videos don't show, that beach measures roughly 300 feet long and fills with hundreds of tourists during cruise ship days. You'll fight for space on sand that gets blasted with jet exhaust multiple times per hour. Hurricane Irma devastated Sint Maarten in September 2017, and despite significant rebuilding, infrastructure challenges persist. The electrical grid remains fragile, with occasional outages affecting the island. Some tourists report accommodations and restaurants that still show hurricane damage nearly 8 years later. The cruise terminal in Philipsburg deposits you onto a long pier leading to Front Street, the main shopping district. This street would be charming if it weren't so obviously designed to extract money from cruise passengers. Jewelry stores dominate. There are over 50 within a quarter-mile stretch. Prices run high, quality varies wildly, and the aggressive sales tactics feel relentless. What bothers cautious travelers most? The walk itself. On extremely hot days, that pier extends roughly a quarter mile from ship to shore with minimal shade. For seniors, or anyone with mobility issues, this represents a genuine challenge. Taxis wait at the port exit, but rates aren't posted and negotiation is expected. Beach access costs money almost everywhere. Great Bay Beach, closest to the port, offers free access but limited facilities. Better beaches on the French side, Orient Bay for example, require $30 to $40 taxi rides each way. The island's dual nationality, Dutch on the south, French on the north, offers interesting cultural contrasts for those willing to explore. But most cruise visitors see only the commercialized strip and leave underwhelmed. Number 10. Grand Turk, Turks and Caicos. Here's where the list starts shifting. Grand Turk technically shouldn't rank this low, but one specific issue drags it down. You're essentially trapped in a cruise company-controlled compound. Carnival Corporation built the Grand Turk Cruise Center, a massive complex that includes a beach, pool, restaurants, shops, and the Margaritaville restaurant chain's flagship Caribbean location. When your ship docks here, you've arrived not at an authentic Caribbean island, but at a carefully engineered tourist facility. This isn't inherently bad. The beach within the complex features genuinely beautiful turquoise water and soft sand. The pool offers a pleasant alternative on crowded days. Everything is clean, safe, and well-maintained. But here's what you're missing. Grand Turk itself is a tiny island, roughly 7 miles long and just over a mile wide at most, with actual character beyond the cruise compound. Cockburn Town, the capital, features historic Bermuda-style architecture dating to the 1800s. The island served as the likely first landing point of Christopher Columbus in the New World. That history exists completely separate from the Jimmy Buffett-themed tourist trap at the port. Getting there requires transportation. Taxis charge roughly $30 for island tours, but the vehicles vary dramatically in condition. The town amounts to a few streets with limited services. Most shops close when no cruise ships are in port, meaning even authentic establishments have adapted to the cruise schedule. Diving and snorkeling here rank among the Caribbean's best. The wall dive off Grand Turk drops over 7,000 feet and attracts serious divers from around the world. But accessing quality dive operations from a cruise ship requires advance booking and costs upward of $120 per person for a 2-tank dive. Grand Turk delivers safety. Turks and Caicos maintains one of the Caribbean's lowest crime rates. It just doesn't deliver much authentic experience, unless you make significant effort to escape the compound. Number 9. Georgetown, Grand Cayman. The Cayman Islands enjoy an excellent reputation for safety, and Georgetown benefits directly from that stability. This British overseas territory maintains extremely low crime rates, efficient infrastructure, and a general sense of order that nervous travelers appreciate. So why does it rank at number 9? Cost. Grand Cayman may be the most expensive cruise port in the entire Caribbean. Start with the tender situation. Georgetown has no pier capable of handling large cruise ships, so you'll board small boats that ferry passengers to shore. This process can take 30 to 45 minutes, depending on conditions, and works poorly for travelers with mobility limitations. On rough weather days, tender service gets canceled entirely. Once ashore, prices will shock anyone accustomed to mainland values. A basic lunch, sandwich, chips, drink, runs $20 to $25. Rental cars start at $89 per day during cruise ship visits. The famous 7-Mile Beach, while genuinely beautiful, requires either a taxi ride at around $15 or a 15-minute walk in tropical heat. Stingray City, the island's signature excursion, involves wading into shallow sandbars where habituated stingrays gather for the food that tour operators provide. It's undeniably memorable. These massive animals brush against your legs while you hold small squid to feed them. But ship-sponsored excursions run $110 to $150 per person for a half-day trip. The Georgetown waterfront has become heavily commercialized, featuring the exact same jewelry stores and diamond merchants you'll find in every other cruise port. The architecture lacks the historic character of some Caribbean destinations, with modern buildings dominating the landscape. For cautious travelers who prioritize safety above all else, Grand Cayman delivers peace of mind. Just understand that peace of mind comes with a significant price tag. Number 8. Charlotte Amalie, St. Thomas. This U.S. Virgin Islands capital offers something increasingly valuable in Caribbean cruising: American territory status. That means no passport hassles, no currency exchange, and, perhaps most importantly for anyone requiring medication, access to U.S. pharmacies and healthcare standards. Charlotte Amalie itself is a historic port town dating to the 1600s, when Danish colonizers established it as a trading hub. The architecture reflects that heritage, with red-roofed buildings climbing hillsides above the harbor. It's genuinely picturesque from a distance. Up close, the reality grows more complicated. Main Street, locally called Dronningen's Gade, has become another jewelry store gauntlet. The U.S. Virgin Islands offer duty-free shopping, which attracts cruise passengers hoping for bargains. Those bargains, however, require careful price comparison. Many stores inflate their regular prices to make the duty-free discount seem more impressive than it actually is. Crime statistics for St. Thomas exceed what many visitors expect from American territory. The U.S. Virgin Islands consistently report violent crime rates higher than the mainland U.S. average, with homicide rates that have topped 50 per 100,000 in recent years. Tourist-targeted crime typically involves property theft rather than violence, but the numbers surprise people who assume American territory means American-level safety. The island's beaches rank among the Caribbean's finest. Magens Bay, regularly listed among the world's most beautiful beaches, charges $5 admission and offers excellent facilities. Getting there from the cruise port costs roughly $15 per person in a safari taxi. The open-air vehicles unique to the Virgin Islands. Hurricane Maria in 2017 caused significant damage, and while major tourist areas have fully recovered, some infrastructure still shows wear. The cruise port itself underwent renovation in recent years and handles passengers efficiently. For American travelers who want Caribbean experience without international complications, St. Thomas represents a reasonable middle ground. Number 7. Basseterre, St. Kitts. Here's where the list transitions into genuinely recommendable destinations, and St. Kitts earned its spot through consistent delivery on cruise visitor expectations. This small island nation, St. Kitts and Nevis together form one country, offers something larger ports have lost: a sense of discovery. Walking through Basseterre, you'll find historic buildings, local restaurants, and shops that actually cater to residents rather than exclusively to cruise passengers. The Independence Square in the heart of town features 18th-century Georgian architecture and a functioning local market. It's the kind of authentic scene that photographers treasure. The Circus, a Victorian-era roundabout modeled after London's Piccadilly Circus, serves as the town's gathering point and offers genuine character. The signature excursion here is the St. Kitts Scenic Railway, a narrow-gauge train that circles the island along tracks originally built to transport sugarcane. The journey takes roughly 3 hours, offering panoramic views of the coastline, rainforest, and Mount Liamuiga, the dormant volcano that dominates the island's interior. Cruise ship pricing runs around $140 per person, but the experience genuinely delivers on its promise. Brimstone Hill Fortress, a UNESCO World Heritage Site, represents one of the best-preserved historical fortifications in the Americas. British engineers constructed this massive complex in the 1600s and 1700s, and climbing its walls offers spectacular views while delivering actual educational content about Caribbean colonial history. Safety statistics favor St. Kitts. While not crime-free, the island reports significantly lower rates than Jamaica and comparable destinations. The State Department maintains no specific travel advisory beyond standard Caribbean precautions. Beaches here don't match the famous names elsewhere, but South Friars Bay offers a pleasant stretch of sand with beach bars and calm water. Taxi rates remain reasonable, with island tours running about $50. Number 6. Castries, St. Lucia. The Pitons, those iconic twin volcanic spires rising nearly 2,000 feet directly from the sea, have graced more Caribbean postcards than perhaps any other landmark. St. Lucia delivers them, along with genuinely distinct character that separates it from cookie-cutter cruise ports. Castries itself, the capital city, won't win beauty contests. A devastating fire in 1948 destroyed much of the historic center, and the rebuilding prioritized function over charm. The cruise port area features the expected shopping facilities and taxi stands. What St. Lucia offers happens beyond the port. The drive to Soufriere, the island's original French colonial capital, winds through mountain rainforest with views that justify every curve in the road. This is where you'll find the Pitons up close, along with the bizarre sulfur springs, a drive-in volcano where geothermal vents create bubbling pools and the distinctive smell of rotten eggs. Mud baths at the volcanic springs have become a popular excursion, with locals claiming therapeutic benefits. Whether or not the mineral-rich mud actually improves your skin, the experience of slathering yourself in warm volcanic earth creates memorable vacation photos. Beaches on St. Lucia require some travel to access. The closest to Castries, VG Beach, sits near the airport and offers free access with basic facilities. Better beaches near Soufriere, including the famous Anse Chastanay, require hour-long drives or expensive boat transfers. The island's topography creates genuine transportation challenges. Roads twist through mountains. Distances that look short on maps take significant time to cover. For travelers with motion sensitivity, the winding routes can prove uncomfortable. St. Lucia maintains a Level 1 travel advisory, the lowest category. Crime exists, primarily theft, but violent incidents targeting tourists remain rare. English is widely spoken, despite the island's French colonial heritage. Number 5. Kralendijk, Bonaire. If you've never heard of Bonaire, you're not alone. This tiny island, one of the ABC Islands along with Aruba and Curacao, operates far beneath the tourist radar, and that's precisely why it ranks this high. Bonaire is a diver's paradise, plain and simple. The entire coastline became a protected marine park in 1979, decades before environmental awareness became mainstream. The result? Some of the Caribbean's healthiest reef systems, accessible directly from shore in many locations. For non-divers, that same marine preservation creates exceptional snorkeling. Beach entry points, marked with yellow stones, indicate optimal snorkeling spots, and the underwater visibility regularly exceeds 100 feet. You'll see parrotfish, sea turtles, and vibrant coral without booking expensive boat excursions. The island itself maintains a quiet, almost sleepy character. Kralendijk's waterfront features low-rise Dutch colonial buildings painted in cheerful Caribbean colors. Cruise ships arrive, but never more than one or two at a time due to the small pier. That volume limitation preserves exactly what makes Bonaire special. Flamingos live here, not in zoos or preserves. Wild flamingos populate the salt pans on the island's southern end. Driving past and seeing hundreds of pink birds standing in shallow water creates an unexpectedly magical moment. The infrastructure caters to divers and nature enthusiasts rather than shoppers and partiers. You won't find mega malls or casino resorts. What you'll find instead, excellent restaurants serving fresh seafood, quiet beaches without crowds, and an overall atmosphere of relaxation. Bonaire is part of the Netherlands Antilles, meaning it's technically European Union territory. The currency is the US dollar, making transactions simple. Crime remains exceptionally low by Caribbean standards. Number 4. Willemstad, Curacao. The approach to Willemstad by ship delivers one of cruising's most photographed moments. The Handelskade waterfront features a row of 18th-century Dutch colonial buildings painted in vibrant colors, blues, yellows, pinks, and oranges reflecting in the harbor water. UNESCO designated Willemstad a World Heritage Site, recognizing both the historic architecture and the cultural significance of this trading hub. Walking through the Punda and Otrobanda districts genuinely feels like exploring European history transplanted to the Caribbean. The Queen Emma Bridge, a floating pedestrian pontoon bridge, swings open regularly to allow ships to pass through the harbor. Watching this engineering marvel operate while strolling between the two halves of town creates a memorable experience unique to Curacao. Beyond the historic center, beaches here earn consistent praise. Casabao Beach charges $15 admission, but delivers pristine white sand, calm turquoise water, and excellent snorkeling. Playa Lagoon, a small cove beach, offers sea turtle sightings along with dramatic cliff scenery. The island maintains Dutch efficiency in its infrastructure. Roads are well maintained, signage is clear, and public facilities meet European standards. The local currency is the Netherlands Antillean guilder, but US dollars are universally accepted, often at favorable rates. Crime statistics for Curacao fall below most Caribbean averages. The State Department maintains no specific warnings beyond standard travel precautions. Visitors report feeling safe walking Willemstad streets even after dark. Cultural experiences here go deeper than most ports offer. The Curacao Museum documents the Atlantic slave trade with powerful exhibits. The floating market, where Venezuelan boats sell fresh produce directly from their decks, offers authentic local color. Number 3. St. John's, Antigua. Antigua claims a beach for every day of the year, 365 in total. And while that's marketing exaggeration, the underlying truth holds. This island delivers exceptional coastal access without the crowds plaguing larger destinations. St. John's, the capital, features exactly what nervous first-time cruisers need. A modern cruise terminal, organized taxi ranks with posted pricing, and a walkable downtown with genuine character. Heritage Quay and Red Cliff Quay offer shopping in restored historic buildings rather than generic strip malls. The beaches themselves justify Antigua's reputation. Dickinson Bay, roughly 15 minutes from the cruise port, provides calm water, beach chair rentals, and restaurant service without the chaos of more famous Caribbean beaches. Half Moon Bay, on the island's eastern shore, offers a more rugged, dramatic seascape for travelers willing to journey farther. Nelson's Dockyard, a restored Georgian-era naval base where Horatio Nelson himself once commanded, stands as a UNESCO World Heritage Site. The complex includes original buildings, a museum, and excellent restaurants within a harbor setting. History buffs can spend hours exploring the facilities and understanding how this remote outpost shaped Caribbean naval history. English Harbor, adjacent to Nelson's Dockyard, serves as the yachting capital of the Eastern Caribbean. During sailing season, mega yachts and racing vessels fill the harbor, creating a distinctive atmosphere. Safety statistics for Antigua remain favorable. The island reports crime rates significantly below Jamaica and comparable Caribbean destinations. Tourist-targeted incidents typically involve property theft rather than violence. Infrastructure here has improved steadily. The airport handles direct flights from major U.S. cities. Medical facilities include a modern hospital in St. John's. The island operates on the Eastern Caribbean dollar, but U.S. currency is accepted everywhere at a consistent exchange rate. Number 2. Roatán, Tortola, British Virgin Islands. The British Virgin Islands deliver exactly what their reputation promises: pristine sailing waters, uncrowded beaches, and a refined Caribbean atmosphere that justifies the British modifier. Roatán, Tortola's capital, may be the only cruise port in the Caribbean where you'll find more sailboats than jet skis. The BVI built its tourism economy around yachting rather than mass cruise visits, which creates a fundamentally different character than ports designed to process maximum passenger volume. Hurricane Irma caused devastating damage here in 2017, and recovery took years. That timeline, while painful for residents, prevented the rushed commercial development that mars other Caribbean destinations. What emerged feels more authentic than what existed before. The beaches accessible from Tortola rank among the region's finest. Cane Garden Bay, roughly 20 minutes from the cruise port, offers a crescent of golden sand backed by palm trees and beach bars playing reggae. Smuggler's Cove, at the island's western tip, provides seclusion and excellent snorkeling. Day trips to neighboring islands define the BVI cruise experience. Virgin Gorda, home to the famous baths, massive granite boulders creating pools and grottos at the water's edge, requires a ferry or boat excursion but delivers a legitimately unforgettable destination. Joost Van Dyke, tiny and undeveloped, features the Soggy Dollar Bar, birthplace of the painkiller cocktail. Safety in the BVI exceeds most Caribbean destinations. The territory maintains a strong British legal system, efficient police force, and low crime rates by regional standards. The State Department maintains no specific advisories for the British Virgin Islands. Costs run higher than many Caribbean ports, reflecting the territory's upscale positioning. But unlike Grand Cayman, the value proposition here delivers. You're paying for genuine quality rather than simply trapped market pricing. Number 1. Bridgetown, Barbados. The Barbados Cruise Terminal in Bridgetown delivers something increasingly rare in Caribbean cruising: a complete experience that satisfies cautious travelers without requiring significant compromises. Start with the fundamentals. Barbados maintains one of the lowest crime rates in the Caribbean, with violent incidents involving tourists extremely rare. The State Department classifies it Level 1, the same designation as Western European nations. Walking independently through Bridgetown feels genuinely safe, not just safe within limited zones. Healthcare facilities here meet standards American travelers expect. Now I want to hear from you. Which entry would you move up or down on this list? Drop your thoughts in the comments